Hey all, welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, and today I have for you guys a good friend of mine. He built a super heavy samurai deck. This is more for competitive fun play. It's not like the top tier deck, but it's super fun and it's really consistent. It's actually insanely awesome having an entire main deck consisting of just monsters. That blows my mind. So the power of the super heavy samurai really resides in their ability to attack while in defense position using their defense points. So stuff like Honest doesn't really help most people, a whole bunch of crazy things that normally would be able to stop monsters that are attacking, really can't. So Mirror Force really doesn't affect these guys because they're not in attack position. Of course, that one Mirror Force that hits people in defense position, now that could really hurt this deck, but who runs that, really? Let's be honest here. Now I know I said it's not as competitive as a lot of decks, that's just because we're in the True Draco kind of format with Zodiacs. But this is still a very viable deck. It's right up there with Flower Guardians, I feel. Now it's one of the decks that come right out of the Arc 5 era, so that basically tells you what kind of deck this is going to be. This is going to have a lot of theme to it, but it's going to have a pendulum engine in it. So we're going to start off with the main deck and its pendulum engine. We got Super Heavy Samurai General Jade. Now while in the monster card zone, you can tribute this by tributing one Super Heavy Samurai monster. When this is normal or special summoned, you can change its battle position. This card can attack while in face-up defense position. If it does, applies defense for its damage calculation. So that's really awesome. You only have to tribute one, and it's 2800 beat there, and it can attack with its defense position. So obviously you can change it right to defense and attack right away. Doesn't need any extra card effects for that. Some Super Heavy Samurai can't do that themselves, so this is one that can do it itself. But while in the pendulum zone, you cannot pendulum summon except for super heavy samurai monsters, which is pretty good to know. We don't have any except for Magic Hole in this deck at least. This effect cannot be negated, pretty awesome. And then once per turn, you can target one super heavy samurai monster you control, increase level by 1. So there's some synchronizing and some Xyz plays that you could possibly do. So we run 2 of those, and then he also runs 2 super heavy samurai General Carl. I know it's Coral, but we like to say Carl. So basically this card, while in the monster, if you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you contribute up to 2 super heavy samurai monsters, draw that many cards. So a little bit of draw power there, pretty awesome. It has very low attack and defense, so you're not really going to be using it for attacking or anything like that. But it does also have a pendulum effect where while you have spell and trap cards in your graveyard, this pendulum scale becomes 4, which you don't. So it's at an 8, so that's pretty awesome. And then once per turn, when a super heavy samurai monster you control destroys an opponent's monster battle, you can activate this effect. That monster can make a second attack that turn. So these are scales that you can set. Don't worry, just leave them off the side and then just go ham on your opponent because their effects are just going to be continuously awesome each turn. Moving on, we got 3 super heavy samurai Big Benkei. Probably the signal of this main deck before synchro summoning really came into it. Now this card is a normal or special summon. You can change its battle position, so that's pretty awesome. Super heavy samurai monsters you control can attack while in defense position. So this is a card that makes it so all those super heavy samurai monsters, even those that could not normally attack in defense position, can now attack in defense position. And there's a lot of easy ways to bring this out with even just one tribute. So 3500 is an insanely powerful monster to be able to bring out that easily. And of course, running that at 3 is obvious, as it's one of the deck's main beaters and combo engines. Next up, we got 3 super heavy samurai soul piercers. So I do have notes for all these cards because usually they all have like walls of text on them that I have never really seen before. So basically, soul piercer is used to attack defense position monsters to do piercing damage, and then when it's sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 super heavy samurai from the deck to the hand. Super easy like that. Glad my buddy made these notes with me, so that's pretty awesome. But yeah, this is actually an equip monster that you equip to your super heavy samurais. That's how you kind of get around the spell and trap card bonuses, is that the monsters become those equip cards. Next up, we got 3 super heavy samurai magnets. So when this card is normal summoned, or you can special summon 1 level 4 lower super heavy samurai monster from your hand and change its battle position to defense position. Monsters your opponent control cannot attack any monster except for this one. So it is like a giant magnet directing attacks towards it, but it also really helps with the rank 4 plays. As you can see in the actual deck, we do have some rank 4s there. And in the side deck, we also have the Utopia engine for Utopia the Lightning. Next up, we got 3 Super Heavy Samurai Scales. So if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from the hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target one level 4 or lower Super Heavy Samurai monster in your graveyard, except Super Heavy Samurai Scales, special summon it in defense position. You can only use this once per turn. So that's pretty awesome. Another rank 4 assisting monster there, and of course that's 1800. Like, you gotta remember, these monsters are normally going to be in defense position, so for actual lineup of like support cards, 1800 attack, 1900 attack, that's really good. That's like the upper scale of like the old level 4 monsters that are just plain beaters. Like 1800, 1900, 2000, those are really powerful cards. Alright, next up we got 3 Super Heavy Samurai Flutists. So these are pretty awesome. So you can tribute this card, special summon a Super Heavy Samurai monster from your hand. So they're taking out your big Benkei really super easily. And then during either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that targets a Super Heavy Samurai monster you control, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. So this is basically Return of the Dragon Lords. Really awesome. And it has great synergy with the deck. Especially being level 3, you can kind of access the rank 3 engine as well. Moving on, we got 3 Super Heavy Samurai Giga Gloves. If this card is sent to the graveyard and you have no spell and trap cards in that graveyard, you can look at 5 cards from the top of your deck and then place them on the top of the deck in any order. When an opponent's monster declares on a direct attack, you can banish this card from your graveyard, activate the top card of your deck, and if it's a Super Heavy Samurai, add it to your hand, and if you do, the attacking monster's attack becomes 0. Otherwise, send it to the graveyard. Now, this is actually really awesome because you can use this, and then the opponent's monster becomes 0, because really there's only 5 cards in this deck that are not Super Heavy Samurai. Quite unlikely that you're going to draw into them through this effect. But then the 0 attack actually stays. It's not until the end of the turn. Its attack just becomes 0, and it's going to stay 0 as long as it remains face up on the field. So another great defensive card. Awesome there. And of course it's level 3, so a little bit more synergy there. Then we move on to our level 2s. Super Heavy Samurai Soulfire Suit. So another equip one. You can target one Super Heavy Samurai monster you control, equip this monster from your hand or your side of the field to that target. Awesome that you can do it from the hand, you don't have to summon it first. And then its level becomes 5. So during either player's turn, you can discard this card and target one defense position Super Heavy Samurai monster you control. Until the end of this turn, it loses 800 defense, but it cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. So it's awesome. If you need to save someone, there you go, drop this card, really awesome. But also you can make some synergy with some synchro plays by upping one of your Super Heavy Samurais to level 5. Alright, and then we move on to our tuner monster, Super Heavy Samurai Trumpeter. So if you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from the hand. After this card was special summoned this way, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except for Super Heavy Samurai monsters. So that kind of limits your extra deck plays if you choose to special summon it, but you don't really need to all the time. If this card is tributed for a tribute summon of a Super Heavy Samurai monster you control and sent to the graveyard, while you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can special summon this card right back. So that's awesome right there as well. Next up, we got Super Heavy Samurai Battle Ball. Now this card is also another tuner monster. Now this is a pretty awesome effect. Now if all monsters you control are Super Heavy Samurai monsters and you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, and that has a level, so you can't use Xyz monsters. Send both it and this card from the field to the graveyard, then special summon a monster from your extra deck. One Super Heavy Samurai monster, whose level equals the total original levels of the 2 monsters in the graveyard. So this is treated as a synchro summon, and you can only use the effect once per turn. Basically, you can use your opponent monsters as synchro material. So basically, you can use this card right here to get rid of some powerful level 8 monsters your opponent controls. It is a target, so that's kind of what you're looking for, but it is a send to the graveyard, not a destruction effect, so it's a removal effect in general. But really powerful effect there, awesome card. Next, we got 2 Super Heavy Samurai Soulbuster Gauntlets, another equip monster. So you can target one Super Heavy Samurai monster you control, equip this monster from your hand or your side of the field to that target. It gains 400 defense. So just a little bit of a power upgrade there. During either player's damage step, if a defense position Super Heavy Samurai monster you control battles an opponent's monster, and you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. The defense of your monster becomes double its original defense until the end turn. Whew! Imagine that on Susanowo with 3,800 defense. You go in like 7,600 there. You're gonna break some knees. And then finally, for our Super Heavy Samurai main deck lineup, we have 2 Super Heavy Samurai Soul Peacemakers. So you can target one Super Heavy Samurai monster you control, equip this monster from your hand or your field to that target. While this card is equipped to a monster by this effect, monsters your opponent control cannot attack monsters you control except the equipped monster. You contribute a monster you control with this equipped card. By this card's effect, special summon one Super Heavy Samurai monster from your deck. So that ends the Super Heavy Samurai lineup of the main deck, and you guys can see they're all Earth, they're all Machine, and they're all a little bit different leveled, but they have some great synergy for their extra deck plays, for sure. And you don't always have to rely on that too, because you got Big Benkei coming out here. Awesome card, 3,500 defense, which turns into 3,500 beater. That's super easy to bring out and revive. But we do run 2 Magic Hole Golems, so this is actually a pretty crazy tech card. So not only is it level 3, but once per turn you can select one face-up monster you control. Its attack is halved until the end phase, but it can attack your opponent directly. So there, 3,500, 3,800, some of those massive defensive position monsters can attack directly. Of course their attack is half, but they attack with their defense points. Awesome tech. But one thing to keep in mind, during the turn you activate this effect, only the selected monster can attack. So if you choose your Big Benkei and you got a Susanowo on the field, well, I guess Susanowo ain't attacking. And then everybody just needs some protection. So Swift Scarecrow at 3 here. When an opponent monster declares a direct attack, you can discard this card, negate the attack, and then end the battle phase. So that's awesome. It just sends them right to the graveyard. Of course, it's a Machine, Earth, so it even synergizes with that. But it's just an awesome little hand trap to kind of stop those battles. So that ends our main deck lineup, which is crazy. Having a deck entirely built of monsters, it just blows my mind. But let's move on to the extra deck now. Some powerful, powerful cards reside here, like Super Heavy Samurai Warlord Susanowo. So this just takes one Machine type tuner and one other non-tuner Super Heavy Samurai monster. And of course this card can attack in defense position using its defense points to attack. And then once per turn during either player's turn, if you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can target one spell or trap card in your opponent's graveyard, set it to your side of the field, but banish it when it leaves the field. Now this effect actually, when I first read it, I thought, wow, this is awesome. You can banish your opponent's spell and trap cards, but use them before you do it. Which is awesome, because that's really what you want to be doing here. That's super anti-meta, and it's great. And with 3,800 defense, you are going to be breaking down some walls for sure with this guy. And of course, he's level 10, so Big Benkei and a level 2 tuner brings him out super easy. Next up, we got 1 Super Heavy Samurai Ninja Saratobi. Yes, I got that. Next, this has the same effect, attack while in defense position using defense points. But once per turn during either player's turn, if you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can target one spell and trap card on the field and destroy it and inflict 500 damage to your opponent. So being 2,800 and a level 8, pretty easy to bring out, pretty awesome. And then it's also a little bit of back row destruction, because you ain't going to be running no Mystical Space Afu, no Twin Twisters, so pretty good to have this card. Now we got Super Heavy Samurai Stealth Ninja. So, again, this follows the same suit, attack while in defense position. If you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can halve this card's original defense till the end of the turn, and if you do, this card can attack your opponent directly this turn. Once per turn during your next standby phase, after this card was destroyed by a card effect inside the graveyard, you can special summon this card. So if your opponent blows it up for some reason with a card effect, you can bring it right back in the next standby phase. Pretty awesome. Now this is a level 7 one, so you really got the whole lineup going around here. And then you can attack with 1,400 defense points to your opponent directly. Not as good as Magic Hole Golem could potentially do for a direct attack, but this does not limit you to just this attack when you use this effect. And we got 2 level 6 Super Heavy Samurai Ogre Shuten Dojo. So, just like before, it can attack on defense position. When this card is synchro summoned while you have no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can destroy all spell and trap cards your opponent controls. Boom! Harpy's Feather Duster just wiping the field right there. Super awesome, because obviously that's not going to affect you at all. And it didn't say destroy all cards in the spell and trap card zone, because sometimes you're going to have those equipped monsters. It just says target your, just destroy all your spell and trap cards your opponent controls. So that's really awesome. And it has 2,500 defense, so for level 6, that's pretty good. Next, moving on to our generic synchro monsters, we got a Trishula in here. Yeah, you can easily make that. Highly recommend. Next, because they're all Earth and Earth type monsters and Earth tuners, we can bring out the Natura beasts, which is pretty awesome because then you can start negating spells by just sending cards to the graveyard, which doesn't really hinder this deck very much, and you do want to stop those spells and those traps. So we also run the Natura Bakurayan. Now this has the opposite effect where you can stop trap cards by negating them and destroying them, but by banishing 2 cards from your graveyard. So with great synergy, those 2 cards work together awesomely. And then just 1 high-speed Roid Kanabara. So this is just a really powerful monster that can attack twice, gains 200 attack every time it battles, and super awesome the way you're not going to use the second effect because obviously you don't have any speed Roid cards in this deck, but just another awesome card, and it's just level 5, so yeah, you got to cover the whole scale there. Then moving on to the Xyz lineup, we got 1 Gear Giant X, and this is just synergy to move machines to your hand because obviously everything in your deck is basically machines except for Magic Hull Golem, so your whole deck is searchable that way, as long as it's level 4 or lower. We got 1 Castel, the Sky Blaster Musketeer, which is pretty awesome. You can just put some monsters face down on the field, pretty sweet. We got 1 Daigusto Emerald, so this is pretty awesome as well. You can target 3 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle all 3 into the deck, then draw a card, or target 1 non-effect monster in your graveyard, special summon that. So you go ahead and think which one we're going to be doing here. Then we got 1 Soul of Silver Mountain, 2 level 3 Earth type monsters, and then once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card to target 1 set card in your opponent's spell and trap card zone. It cannot be activated while this card is face up on the field. That just screams Sergeant Electro to me. Yeah, this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle. While it has Xyz material, you can target 1 Earth monster in your graveyard, special summon that in face up defense position, which is, I can see now why. Because you can get down that big Benkei by just destroying any monster your opponent controls using this card. And with 1800 attack, it's not impossible. Not exactly super likely, but if you can, boom, revival effect right there for you. And then finally, we got Leviathan, the Sea Dragon, 2 level 3 monsters, and you can attach an Xyz material to target a banished level 4 or lower monster and special summon that. So just a little bit of synergy because you are banishing at times, so get some of those guys back. So that finishes up our extra deck. Now let's go into the side deck. We got some extra Super Heavy Samurai support, Super Heavy Samurai Thief. Now this can destroy a card in your opponent's spell and trap card zone. Then you can set the destroy spell and trap card in your side of the field. Or you can destroy 1 card in your opponent's pendulum zone. You can place the destroy card in your pendulum zone. It's kind of cool there. We got 2 of them. Then we got Super Heavy Samurai Big Waraji. Now if you control no spell and trap cards in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. After this card is special summoned, by the way, you cannot special summon monsters for the first turn, except Super Heavy Samurai. This can be treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon a machine type monster. So there you go, you can get your big Benkei out super easily that way, but we only run 2 of these in the grave, but we only run 2 of these in the side deck. And then finally for the Super Heavy Samurai extra support, we got 2 Super Heavy Samurai Soul Shield Wall. You can target 1 Super Heavy Samurai monster you control, equip this card from your hand or side of the field to that target. It gains 1200 defense. When the monster is equipped with this card is targeted for an attack, you can send this card to the graveyard, negate the attack, but the equipped monster's defense becomes 0. It's kind of a gamble there. I can see why it's in the side deck for sure, because you don't really want to have your monster's defense become 0. Of course it saves it, but if you're using like one of your big boss monsters and you don't think you can synchro summon next turn, then kind of a gamble. And the 1200 is nice, but there's better cards in the deck to do so. Moving on to the hand trap, we got 3 Flying Seas. Let's shut down those zoos in their spot right there. And of course we don't want to use any spell and trap cards. So making a side deck consists basically just of hand traps. Ghost Ash with Blossom. Obviously also another good choice for decks like this, where it's a monster hand trap. But at how expensive it is, this is actually just a recreation of his actual deck. So no Ghost Ash with Blossom and all those cards. Ash Blossom and Ghost Ogre and all those cards. Those are just a little expensive right now, so Flying Seas, not that expensive. Does a great stop for Zodiacs. 1 Maxi, draw some more cards. 1 DD Crow, let's banish some cards there. And then an Effect Veiler, let's stop some monster effects. And then our Utopia engine, Utopia to Utopia C to Utopia the Lightning, gives you usually, ideally, 4 Xyz material, so this card can use its effect twice. So that's kind of the power of this deck. So that is the Super Heavy Samurai deck. I want to know what you guys think about this deck. I think it's just an insanely awesome idea. It's super consistent, super powerful. It's quite competitive. It's one of those rogue decks that are actually more competitive than people give it credit for. So I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy my buddy made this deck. It's going to be awesome to fight against. I cannot wait. I want to know if anyone wants to tally up how many times I said Super Heavy Samurai in this deck profile. That would be hilarious. Also, I really hope you did enjoy. Hope you found this informative. Hope to catch you in the next one. And as always, peace.